So for anybody out there that's never run wire before, this is what you call a fish, and they make them in different sizes. And I don't know that you necessarily run out and buy one because you're building a van. They're not that expensive, honestly. This one, I do a lot in, I'm in the networking world in computers, so I do use a lot of these. They make them in reels. They also make them in rods. So for something like this where you're making a lot of turns, this really kind of helps. And this tool, it's like a plastic, so it's kind of thick. It's got a looped end on it. Everything is rounded here, so you're able to really run this down through troughs and so forth and get around corners, get it out the hole you want it, loop your wire through there, and if you have to, tape it off. So, and then this won't break, and this isn't your wire, so you don't want to really be yanking hard on your wire because you don't want to stretch the wire, rip strands, or you're going to end up with shorts, your breaks, and so forth. You want a good, solid, good wire job, so you're pulling with this to find your path through your channels, and so if you have a friend that has one of these, go borrow it because that makes this job so much easier. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to just unreel some of this. I can get with my hands, I can get the wire down through here. So I'm going to take the fish. Actually, I'm going to need to remove the refrigerator, and what I'll do is I'll come up from below. So I'm going to start down below, fish it up to here, connect up my wires, and pull it out that way. So let me get this fridge out of the way. Okay, so you probably can't see down all the way down the bottom here because I've only moved the refrigerator so far. But what I'm going to do is take my fish line, and I'm going to bring my wiring, hopefully you can see this hole here, there. I'm hoping this channel comes out here somewhere. I have to feel around. I feel like right here there's a hole. I can feel up in here where it goes up into, and it almost feels, somebody shoved insulate up there. I wonder who that was. So there's an empty space up here. So my hope is that there's not a piece of metal here. So I'm going to run my fish up, and then I'm going to try to catch it up here somewhere. And it might be up in there, but we'll see where we can get with it. If I get it up to here, there's a hole right there that kind of comes down into here, and that's what I'm shooting for, if I can get it to this hole. And that's kind of the nice thing about these. They're curved, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it up with the curve going this way. So as it rides up along this curve, it's going to want to automatically go like this and find that hole and come up and make this a whole lot easier. That's the plan, so we'll see how this goes. Anyhow. So where were we going? Alright, so my cabinets are going to come in here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this big opening here, right up through there. I'm getting caught on something. Hold it there because I can hear it up there. Let's see if I can feel it. Yep, I feel it right there. So that was getting me there. what you hope is that you get lucky, and it just, yep, there it is right there, actually. All right, and that's that. That's how that does. So, unfortunately, the lens was down. You probably didn't see that up there. So you can see, I came down through this hole here, and it went right up through here, and there's just a little hole in here. And because this is curved, I rode that curve up with this because it's got a stiffness to it. So it was able to find that curve, and I could just kind of with my finger just guide this little tip here right out that hole. So now I can take this wire, drop it down through here where you see my finger, which this is all open to here, and then I'll run it right down and we'll have a connection down there, and that will be my fridge connection. Okay, so again, I don't think this was a really tough, tight run, so I don't think I'd have to tape this. Now, I will probably get to that one point where I will regret saying that, because I'll lose one of the wires. It's not the end of the world. I can always just fish them back out and do this again. So hopefully that's seeing that. Again, so I have this loop here. I don't want to just yank this, because what will happen is this wire will kink. But you can see this kink here in this wire. It's just twisted a little bit. You don't want to pull on that because you don't want to kink this up, because that's just going to cause issues down the road. So before we go yanking on it, we're just going to unravel that and gingerly make this nice. Okay, so now I got a really nice straight piece of wire. I mean, it's curved because that was on a spool, but there's no kinks, no knots, no anything. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to meet these two ends up, fish them through the hole of this. For those of you who used these before, forgive me for kind of explaining this, but there's a lot of people out there, I know just from what I do for a living, there's a lot of people out there that have no idea what one of these tools are, and these do save you a lot of effort. So I'm going to fold these down, and because it's 12 gauge wire, they'll fold and they'll stay there pretty well. And what I'm going to do then, I'm going to get all my kinks out of the way, and then I'm just going to start pulling this fish back down, making sure my wire doesn't get caught up, stays a nice smooth run. And there you have it. I'm out the other side. So let's make sure before we go pulling it all the way through, we're good and smooth. Pull this back up a little bit just to make sure I don't have any kinks in there and everything's nice and straight. And there you have it. So I have my fridge wire run, and it's completely out of view except back there in the corner with the existing wiring harness, and back here and back on the other side. But I'll run that down then to the fuse block, exactly where it's supposed to be. And I have, so this is 12 volt DC. So I got my positive, got my negative. I'll hook that up with the wire coming out of the refrigerator, which is basically just a positive and a negative. We'll connect that up, and that's going to be my refrigerator connection. And then this will run back to my fuse block. My ground will go to ground, and then I'll have a positive for the fridge, a positive for my lights, etc. on down, much like the circuit breaker box in your house, but this will just be a 12 volt fuse box. What I'm going to do with the inverter things on this battery, because with this Goal Zero battery, and I'll show you when we actually do that, I'm really probably only going to have maybe one 110 outlet at all in the van. I don't see the need to really have many more than that. So I feel like all I'm going to do there is I'm going to get an extension cord, a very heavy duty extension cord, plug one end of it into the battery where the outlets are, and then run with the fish the other one to wherever I'm going to have a 110 outlet in the van, cut the other end off, which will be 3 leads, and I'll wire those into the outlet, mount that outlet to the wall, and basically I still have an extension cord, but on one end, instead of having the female end of the extension cord, I'm going to have an outlet, which is just a different version of the female end of the extension cord mounted to a wall, plugged into a battery, giving me AC current. And I don't see any reason, to do it any differently than I'm not gonna necessarily get crazy with it on that. So there you have it. There's one run done. So I'm going to continue on, and so I walked you through that run. That's actually the longest run of the van, and I'm going to sign off for the rest of these runs just because it's easier just to do it. So I walked you through run, showed you the tools, how we're running it through there. So going to sign off, get the rest of these runs done. So this is Ken. Until next time, like the video if you like the content we're putting out. Subscribe to the channel, share the video if you could. Right now though, I got to get some air, get some doors and stuff opened up in here because it's really hot and I'm starting to really get hot. So peace. We'll see you down the road. Okay, so we have all our wire run. I have some extra I've laid up in here. We've got our wire going up for our lights, more lights here, and the fan. And you can see I just kind of have it back in this trough. I have some extra here for maybe some other things. I've got it crimped up, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a foam roll around it through here as a conduit. So it's all nicely packed up in here. It comes up into here, down through here, and down through this pipe or this channel, and then comes out here. And this is where the battery and everything will be. And we'll kind of put our 12-volt fuse block down there and get everything tied in. The one for the refrigerator, you can see the one place I had to go outside, but it's no big deal because we're just going to tie it together right with this existing harness, and then it runs down here and down through that channel there, and we'll put power for the fridge in the cabinet. And you can see I do have some extra line that I've run down to the bottom here. Don't know what we'll use it for, but I figured while we're running it, might as well put it in there now just so we have wire if we ever need it for something. So there's kind of our wire setup, and wiring for the van is almost done. These are the extension cords here. I have a 25-footer and a 10-footer or 15-footer. We'll cut an end off of there, run one of them to here for a female end 110 outlet, and then one over to this side, same thing. So we'll have two 110 outlets, and we'll put them back to the inverter on the battery.